Wait, so should I or should I not be making pinky promises with the undead? Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2024 horror thriller, Abigail. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Abigail stars Alisha Weir, Melissa Barrera, and Dan Stevens, and was co-directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillet. It tells the story of a group of criminals hired to kidnap a young girl for ransom, only to discover that the job is not at all what they had expected. You hear people talk about so-called elevated horror a lot these days, but there's another horror subclassification that doesn't seem to get as much attention, perhaps because it doesn't have a catchy name. I'm not sure what other people call it, but I refer to it as fun horror. These are the movies that aren't quite horror comedy, but aren't too far off either. They're definitely horror movies, but presented in an enjoyable and bloody way. There's always some humor in there, but also thrills and gory intensity, and sometimes some pretty dark stuff, but somehow all presented through a knowingly fun lens. These are films that make you smile and laugh while watching. Sometimes because of the jokes, but often at the sheer ridiculousness of a situation or a moment of wildly outrageous gore. Abigail is a prime example of fun horror. It's a thoroughly blood-soaked thriller with an amusingly ridiculous premise and an entertaining set of characters. A bloody good time, no matter which way you choose to interpret that. Before I get into the meat of this review, I do want to mention that I'll be talking about something that's revealed in the trailer. Normally, I wouldn't give a disclaimer for a plot aspect that's so prominently featured in the marketing, but I am here just in case, because I do wish this piece of information had been kept under wraps. I think it would have been even more fun of an experience without this foreknowledge. So if you haven't seen the trailer or any of the marketing and have the opportunity to go into this movie blind, take it. Pause this video, don't read or watch anything about the movie, just go see it knowing absolutely nothing about the story. This review will still be here when you get back. Okay, so if you're still here, I'm gonna assume that you've seen the trailer, so you know the aspect of the film that I'm referencing. Abigail is a vampire, a ballerina vampire. This story is supposed to be based on the 1936 Universal monster sequel, Dracula's Daughter, but this is a very loose reimagining of that story, essentially taking the most base-level aspect of it and running with an entirely new story. But man, what a fun story! This movie's got a highly enjoyable premise that remains entertaining throughout. It's basically an Agatha Christie-style mansion horror mystery, combined with an absurd vampire concept. The story itself plays out fairly predictably, but that works here, as do the one-note characters. Abigail features a decent-sized cast and spends a good deal of time with most of them, but each of these characters are mostly defined by a single trait. The ex-military guy, the big dumb guy, the untrustworthy guy, etc. It doesn't work against the film though, because all these characters are really just there to serve as fang fodder anyway. Speaking of which, Abigail herself is fantastic, and definitely one of the highlights here. There's some really interesting elements to her character, and Alisha Weir's performance is great. It's wild how well she pulls off that vulnerable to menacing transition. Abigail is a highly enjoyable movie, but it does suffer from some occasional pacing issues, which are partly the film's fault and partly the marketing's fault. On the film's fault side of things, we've got the third act. There are a lot of plot points and revelations jammed into those final 20 minutes, and the film takes some sudden leaps. Don't get me wrong, it's all really fun and enjoyably over the top, but it's a little overloaded by the end. As for the marketing's impact on the pacing, that comes during the first act. Like I previously mentioned, Abigail's undead state is prominently revealed in the trailer. And I get it, Vampire Ballerina Kid is a fun and ridiculous premise that'll draw a crowd, but the marketing doesn't align well with the film's structure. We aren't supposed to know this information already. If it was a plot point dropped in the first few minutes, it would be fine. But the whole first act is structured as a mystery where we and the characters are supposed to think she's just a regular kid. If you haven't seen the trailer, it would work well. But if you have seen it, the first act setup and character banter starts to feel long without the benefit of the mystery. Again, I really wish Abigail's true nature hadn't been revealed in the trailer. That would have been such a fun surprise at the theater. That said, even with the questionable marketing choices, this is still a highly enjoyable, oh so bloody movie. There are some solid moments of gore and body horror here, but this is mostly just a blood extravaganza. If you've seen Ready or Not, one of Radio Silence's previous fun horror movies, then you probably fondly remember a certain entertainingly bloody scene. Well, Abigail has got some moments that are of that same caliber. Just absurd, over-the-top, fun, campy blood. So I wouldn't recommend bringing a toddler to this movie, like a family at my screening did, but I gotta give the kid credit, she made it through without any issues. She danced along with the ballerina scenes and then fell asleep for the last hour or so. So a 3-year-old might sleep through this one, but you won't, because this is a darkly humorous and incredibly fun horror movie. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. The biggest pro has got to be the premise. So if you've made it this far in the review, I assume that you already passed my little heads up regarding this, but just in case you skipped ahead to this part of the video, if you haven't seen the Abigail trailer yet, pause this video, go see the movie, and then come back. Okay, so if you're still here, you've at least seen the trailer and know the big plot revelation that it gives away. So even though this movie isn't really an adaptation of Dracula's Daughter, like it was initially advertised as way back early in development, that absurdly entertaining premise that we do get here is just as good. A group of criminals unknowingly trapped in an isolated mansion with a 12-year-old vampire ballerina? It's as ridiculous as it sounds, but also as fun as it sounds. Speaking of which, the second pro is how fun this movie is. Like I said earlier on in the review, this movie has all the hallmarks of a film that fits into my fun horror classification. Not really a horror comedy, but certainly not a serious movie either. It's over the top and ridiculous and campy fun at times, but it's dark and bloody and creepy too. The moments of jokey humor might make you laugh, but it's going to be the moments of sheer, is this really happening right now, absurdity that'll have you smiling throughout the runtime. On the con side, the biggest issue is the pacing. For the most part, this isn't really a significant issue here until the third act. Don't get me wrong, it's an incredibly entertaining third act that I really enjoyed, but it's a bit awkwardly overstuffed with ideas and plot points. Some of these were so briefly utilized that they probably weren't worth introducing in the first place, and some others could have been set up a little earlier in the story to keep things moving along. And while not a fault with the film itself, the fact that the marketing decided to reveal a certain piece of information made the mystery and setup of the first act feel a bit long. Again, I really wish they had kept that aspect of the story under wraps, because that would have been an enjoyable surprise in the theater. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Abigail or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give Abigail 3.5 out of 5 paws. The third act is a bit overstuffed, and the marketing campaign certainly did a disservice to the film and its structure, but this is an incredibly fun and immensely bloody time. I would recommend Abigail to people looking for a fun horror movie. If you want something equal parts bloody and enjoyable, then this will be able to satisfy both of those cravings. Vampire fans will probably get a kick out of this take on the creature lore, and if you've enjoyed past Radio Silence productions, this one will probably be up your alley as well. If you liked Abigail, I would recommend Ready or Not. Directed by the same duo, this is another great example of a fun, premise-driven horror movie. This one's also set in an isolated mansion, but the story's slightly different, and follows a new bride as she tries to survive an extremely bloody game of hide-and-seek. If you want another exceptionally fun and wild film, you might want to check out Megan. Part horror, part sci-fi, this is about an AI doll that likes to creepily dance while wreaking havoc on those who try to separate her from her girl. And if you want something a little less fun and a little more creepy, you should watch Orphan. Like Abigail, this is a horror movie about a young girl that's best watched with as little foreknowledge as possible, because nothing's quite as it initially seems. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Abigail? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's another example of a movie that was spoiled by its marketing? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or add it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainely Movies. The way life should be.